Patrick.
Right,
Welcome,
so,
Jim. Appreciate you coming. Okay, so the whole interview, I'm going to start with you, childhood, where you come from, motivation, join the military, why, the who, what, when, where, adventures, good decisions, bad decisions, just to run the whole gamut. And then we'll finish off with where you are right now in the VA process. Is there anything I can do to help? I will. All right. So where are you from?
well, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, a little town out there called Batavia. It's about 30 miles east.
Ooh, okay.
I'm born and raised there. Grew up going through school. I was in public schools. Got to be about the age of 19. I dropped out of high school, got my GED. My dad was military. My brother was military. Uncles, aunts, they had all done some kind of military. I watched my brother go through the trials and tribulations while he was in. And I asked him, I was like, hey, if I was to join the military, what are the big things I need to worry about? He's like, it's a head game. He said, I'll be completely honest with you. It's really just mind games. I was okay. I was like, I can do mind games. It's not a big deal. So I was working 3 jobs, and I was like, I'm tired. I'm tired of working 3 jobs. I just want to make a good living, be able to see the world, maybe do some college credits, get somewhere in life and actually be able to enjoy life. So I joined at 20.
Well, let me back up real. Did you play any sports in high school?
I did. I played a little bit of football in middle school. High school, I was too small, so I didn't really play there. I played baseball when I was younger. Played a little bit towards high school, and then I just started bowling because it was easier.
Okay. That's the first time I heard that one, bowling.
I bowled when I was younger, and then when my dad and my stepdad both passed away when I was young.
Okay.
So I lost my dad at the age of 16 and my stepdad at the age of 16 and a half.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay. So after
that, there wasn't
male figure that you looked up to? Or
my brother.
your brother?
Yeah.
Obviously older?
Older, yeah. He's 10 and a half years older.
Okay. What branch you said he was in the service?
Navy.
He was in the Navy?
Yeah.
Okay. Was that maybe some of the driving factor to make you join the Navy? Or
some of it. I mean, I watched everybody else that had gone. My dad was in and out before I even was born. But I watched my cousins and my brother go through it. And then, of course, September 11th happened. I was in school during that. So I was like, okay, well, that sounds like a good idea for me to go ahead and do it. I'll serve my country. And
did you already hit?
Yeah. So I ended up joining. And it was for the best. I mean, where I was growing up, there wasn't really much around there. Job-wise, it was either construction, do some fast food stuff or whatever, but you weren't really going to get any high-paying jobs around my area unless you went to college.
Batavia, Ohio.
Yep.
Right outside Cincinnati.
Yep, about 30 miles east.
Okay. Oh, don't let me stop you. You're on a roll.
So yeah, I joined, and my first thing was submarines. They asked me. I was supposed to be an aviation electrician, and they were like, "Oh, we got submarines. Pay $6,000 sign-on bonus if you want to do that." I was like, "Submarines? What all does that entail?" So I talked to them about it. They gave me the whole gamut of the rates and stuff that I'd qualify for. ASVAB score wasn't great, so I was like, all right, what do I qualify for? They're like, oh, you can be a machinist mate. And I was like, machinist mate? So what's that entail? They were like, well, you'll get refrigeration training, do some high pressure air, some water, things like that. And I was like, man, that sounds fun. I worked on air compressors and lawnmowers and stuff like that. Not a big deal. I think it all translates pretty well. So I went into submarine machinist mate. Got me a little sign-on bonus, and left home September 29th, 2004.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Just after I turned 20.
Damn. Well, nice. All right, so you joined.
I joined. I left September 29th, 2004. Went went up to boot camp. Got out of boot camp right before Thanksgiving, so that wasn't too bad. And then I went to Groton, Connecticut, submarine school up there. Went through all my A schools and all that stuff, and then once I got done with that, I was sent straight back out here to Norfolk, Virginia, to my first duty station.
The most lovely place in the world.
Yeah, a lot better than Groton. Groton's a different place, you know. We all used to call it that.
Well, I've never been to Connecticut, honestly.
Winter time's really rough up there.
Yeah.
Real cold. Really didn't have too much to do up there in the winter, you know.
So your A school was in Groton, Connecticut?
Yeah, all my schooling was in Groton, Connecticut.
Okay.
I finished everything up there. And I got down here in June. That's when I actually got down here. So I finished up there in May time frame. Went home, picked up my wife at the time.
This is now 2005.
This is 2005.
Okay.
So I spent good time down here in Virginia. My first duty station was USS Newport News, submarine, SSN 750. I stayed on her for quite a while, 2005 to 2010.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was on board her. So
during that time, we'll break it down into that ship, I guess.
Yeah.
Boat or whatever you call it.
Submarine. Yeah.
Submarine. Forgive me, I'm from the Fire Service Army. I know
I get it.
nothing of Navy lingo. So during that 5-year span, how many I guess they call them cruises?
Yeah. I went on 2 deployments on the
Okay.
USS Newport News. First deployment, first when I got there, we were in the yards. We were in an overhaul period. You know, they had just gotten back from deployments and stuff like that. So I spent, I think it was like 7 months we were in the yards, just doing overhaul and upkeeps, getting ready to go back out to sea. We didn't go back out to sea for deployment until 2007 time frame. So I spent a good time in the yards at that point, just getting, you know, all the maintenance done and stuff like that. 2007 we went on deployment. Found ourselves over in the Middle East. And then
Give me what's life like on the sub?
life like
Living, I mean, I see, call it the Navy recruiting poster or whatever, but I hear you guys sleeping like little bitty cubbies.
Your rack's a 3 foot by 2 foot by 6 foot area. You know, it's not real big. They're triple stacked, so you got the bottom rack, middle rack, top rack. Got enough spot to put your clothes and maybe some snacks and drinks in your locker or in your bedpan. And then you got a small locker at the bottom for your foot, like your deodorant and toothbrush, toothpaste, personal hygiene items. Being on a submarine is kind of crazy because you got 120 people on a submarine. There's only 80 racks. So
you
know,
you're
you got
like
a lot
24-hour operations.
you got hot racks. So if I'm on watch, somebody else is sleeping in the rack that I was supposed to be sleeping in. They just change the sheets. You know, you get out of bed, you take your sheets off, you put them in the rack pan. The next person puts theirs on the bed. They go to sleep for 6-8 hours. You know, depending on how much you're running on a 6-hour schedule or 18-hour day. Essentially, is what it is.
Okay.
You got 6 hours that you're on watch, and then you got 6 hours you do maintenance, and then you got 6 hours that you sleep, and then you get back up and do it again. You're still in that same day. You have 2 watches.
Oh, wow.
So the 6 hours of sleep, you know, you really don't got very much time to sleep. You're lucky if you even get in the rack at that 6-hour mark because somebody else is sleeping there before you, and they have to get up and they got to get out and get showered. And then you go back and you look at the rack and you're like, okay, are they still in there? No. Okay, I can get my stuff done.
Wow.
I can get in the rack.
So the 6 hours continuously gets just
It's shorter. Yep.
wow.
So let's say you get out of the rack, you got to take a shower, you got to get dressed, all that stuff. Before I get in the rack, you got to have all that stuff done. Your sheets got to be stripped off. And then, of course, I'm not going to jump in the rack dirty. I mean, there's some people that will, but I always like to shower before I went to bed just to make sure I was clean and I wasn't putting all that dirt and grime back on the bed, you know.
Right.
Even though my sheets are changed and they're my sheets, I don't want to be sleeping in dirty sheets either.
I know this is going to be an odd question.
Yeah.
But was it the same rack you slept in every night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And there were some people, I was one of those people there for a while. They would actually, down in the torpedo room, you'd have all your torpedoes lined up, and you'd be sleeping right next to a torpedo. They'd actually make racks down there and put you a mattress down there, and you'd sleep right there. There's portable racks they would unload and put down there, and I spent many nights in the torpedo room laying on a rack.
Well, damn.
Just holding a torpedo to go to sleep.
Kind of like me sleeping behind a M1 Abrams with the engines running.
Yeah.
Stay warm in Korea.
Oh yeah. But it was kind of crazy getting to, get out there and do things like that, and being with 120 fellas. We didn't have women on submarines at that time.
We got a lot of green to work with. A little bit. Phone's just easier to carry around.
Yeah. I don't know if I can get the up and down or not. I used to do a little roll up on this.
I got faith in you, man.
Too far.
You're putting.
Still on green.
Not bad.
Get some roll. Died.
No roll at all.
That 2007 deployment was what we call you go bump in the night.
Explain. I gotta know what that means.
That was Straits of Hormuz. We hit the largest oil tanker ever known to man. The Magama Gawa. It was a Japanese oil tanker. We were underwater and it went over top of us and sucked us in.
You were on the sub that hit that.
Yes.
Wow.
17 slashes inside the hull. The way I like to say it is probably the worst roller coaster ride you'll ever have in your life. 17 times we took 70 to 90 degree rolls throwing us around the ship. 8 inches away from hitting the pressure hull and sinking the ship type thing. Because if it would have got cut all the way through the pressure hull, it would have imploded. Yep.
Wow. 8 inches.
Yeah. So makes it very hard to live life after that. Like the sheer feeling you have when somebody crunches things.
Yeah.
If you think about brass going through steel and the sound you would have from that. I still have problems with it today, listening to people crunch on chips, croutons, anything crunchy like that. I have to step away from them. There's people that chew ice at work, and I gotta be like, hey, can you not do that around me? Type things like that. I actually used to throw things at people when they would do it. I'd be like, hey, don't crunch that stuff around me. And he'd be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I threw stress balls at people at work. When I was in the Navy, I used to throw things at them. I'd be like, hey, I told you not to do it. You got a chance. Next time, I'm launching something. And I did. I threw at a couple people.
Wow.
My kids actually, they didn't know the things that I'd gone through for a while. And I had to tell my family, like, hey, Dad has this issue. And I waited for somebody to say something one day, and I was like, hey, let me show you. And they're like, what do you mean, Dad? So I showed my kids, like, this is why Dad is the way he is. Just to give them that understanding of the reason why I get upset or I get irritated when they're chomping or they're chewing with their mouth open and things like that. Like that kind of stuff sometimes can bother me. Everybody used to try to hit the goats and the animals and stuff out there. They had to tell people to stop hitting them.
All right, so give me what you said. What degree?
70 to 90 degree rolls.
That's like,
yeah.
So you're like getting thrown around inside of a can.
I literally held on to a bar, just like this. That went all around the inside of the con, which is the top of the submarine where everybody sits, control room. That's where we drive the boat from. There's a steel rod that goes around the inside of it, and a curtain is put around it so it can be dark for them to see through the periscopes and things. And I held on to the top of that and took every hit because I was on watch during it.
How long did that like? Let's say the whole event.
The whole event probably took, I don't know, last 4 or 5 minutes of the actual jostling around.
So they were up
It's hard to put a time frame on it.
Did you guys come surface and hit them?
Yeah.
Or
so think about displacement. Ship over top of us comes over top this way, and then we're down here. And we just rose up.
Oh wow!
We had too much weight on at the time because of the displacement, and then when we came back up, we hit their propellers.
Wow. How many injuries come out of that? I bet it was.
To be honest, we got really, really lucky. Only one person got a gash where a piece of metal had hit. Everybody else, minor scrapes and bruises where they might have fallen out of the rack or as they were walking through the hallways or whatever. They got some bumps, but we didn't lose anybody because of that accident. It was a miracle.
But you were able to obviously surface, I guess.
Yeah, so we surfaced, and we were able to do what we had to do to be able to get back to port. Okay. We ported in Bahrain. And that was, I think it was January 7th, if I recall the date correctly. It all kind of runs together after this many years, but that was my first deployment, you know. I get there, we get out, and we do the necessary repairs. We were there for, I think we were underway at that time for like 4 months at the time that we had the collision. And then we were there for like 2.5, 3 months. And then we transited straight back home from there after the divers got done putting on the scabs and stuff like that for us. They got underneath there and patched everything up good enough to get us home. And then we went right back in dry dock again.
Wow.
So it was, the first 2 years were
roller coaster. Sounds like
it was. I mean, it was good to be able to get out there and do that kind of stuff, and actually get our time out at sea. But at the same time, that was a rough period of time for that ship. So,
I'm the one that's got some worrying to do here. And so all that, let's just go all the way up to they patched up your boat. You guys came back when you were in dry dock for like actual repairs?
Yeah, back in dry dock again. I think we spent close to a whole year in dry dock. You're right in here in the trees.
Of course, look at that.
We are playing kart golf though.
Yes. This will be interesting. So
yeah, we spent the time over in San Diego, got the boat back to where it needed to be. Then we were able to hit Panama, had some fun down there for a little bit. Then we ended up taking a little bit more of an issue as things progressed. And we had a flooding casualty,
flooding casualty?
Yeah, on board. We took on, I think, somewhere around 40,000 pounds of seawater. One of the valves didn't shut that was supposed to shut. We ended up having to pump that off. As we were coming back through the Panama Canal.
That's a bad way to go.
Yeah. So we ended up having to completely tear apart our diesel and put it back together. We did that in 3 days. That was part of my division. Myself and all the rest of the A-gangers.
All the way.
A-gangers. That's A-gang is what they call machinist mates on submarines.
Oh, okay.
I think a group of 14 of us, I think it was, stayed up 3 days straight, right around 72 hours, taking naps where we could, full of oil, completely taking all the oil and fuel out of it, and making sure that everything was good in our holding tanks, making sure we didn't have seawater. Took everything down to the component level, rolled the engine over, made sure all the seawater was out of it, put it back together, and had it running before the diesel inspector met us in Curacao. Pulled into Curacao and gave us the omdi-domdi for us to continue running the diesel, which is our secondary source of power.
Right.
The battery goes dead, then the diesel kicks in and takes over. So we had to do that. Had a fire that deployment in the dryer. I was on watch in the machinery room when the fire broke out. Somebody left something in their pockets that wasn't supposed to, and the dryer caught on fire. First response for everybody when a fire happens is to run.
Tell me about that, because you see in like movies and stuff, like on submarines they do like constant drills for fire, constant drills for smoke, and all these different things. So what does that entail? What's that like?
So you end up having to put on a full firefighting ensemble and drills, things like that. We simulate as much as we can. Smoke would be fog machines, or black curtains, things like that hanging down in front of you to where you can't see. It's to simulate fire. It's like red streaks of light, orange streaks of light, things like that. There's a whole team that goes into doing that kind of stuff on board ships and submarines, where they come together and like, hey, a good source of a fire would be here. Why don't we just walk by and say we smell something and get people to react and see what they do. On board a submarine, everybody is damage control. You don't have your own specific spots, but they give you, let's say, in a city you got firefighters. Well, we don't have firefighters on board. Everybody's a firefighter on board. If something happens with flooding, everybody has to help control that flooding. So we all go through those things when we go through A schools and C schools. We all go through that training. And if you look up submarine damage control schools, things like that, there's videos online where you can watch how we would train for fires and scenarios like that. Even all the way down to escape trainers and things like that. There's a whole video on how we did that. So I think it's like a 10-minute long video, and it goes through each stage of firefighting, submarine escape, and that kind of things.
So how many, let's just say, up to the fire, how many years have you been in?
Less than 5.
That's a hell of 5 years.
Yeah.
That's hitting a ship, flooding, and fire.
Yeah.
Is that... Yeah, because I'm
3 worst things you can have in a submarine.
Yeah. Is that like a one-off, or is fire a common thing?
Fires aren't really common.
I would hope flooding's not common.
You have smoke a lot. All your bearings and things like that, and motors burn up and things like that. But to actually have fires, I think dryer is the most common, because people forget to take chem wipes, napkins, or things like that out of their pockets. Things that are flammable, if they forget to do that before they put their clothes in there, naturally you're going to have a fire. But you're trained to remove everything out of your pockets and make sure everything's good. It does happen from time to time, and sometimes it's caught, sometimes it's not. But on a submarine, you only have one washer, one dryer. So if your dryer catches on fire, your washer's right below it, more than likely, and unless somebody's really quick to react, it's going to take a while to get it repaired. So I think we were down washer and dryer for like 3 weeks. Start wearing socks twice and underwear 4 times, just things like that.
You do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do to be able to have clothes on your body, Pretty ugly.
Well, I didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
All right, you good?
These are the 2 guys I was playing with earlier.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be a fun one there.
You want to hit from here?
Yeah.
All right. It's all right.
I need some wood practice anyway.
I didn't see it.
Looks like it went right through the trees.
You good? Y'all want to play through? Let's say 5 years now. How many total years did you do?
I did 20 total.
20 total. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move to the. That's all on the Newport News.
That's all on the Newport News.
We're gonna
Move
away.
Yeah. So the Newport News, I stayed on there till I want to say it was June or July 2010, and then I went to Yorktown Weapons Station. Yorktown Weapons Station was a depot level facility for Mark 48 torpedoes. Went up there, started building torpedoes up there. During all that, ended up having migraines and things like that on the submarine. It kind of hindered my ability to do things as well as I wanted to at the next command, due to the fact that I was dealing with auto fuel and a lot of nasty chemicals up there. I still struggle with migraines all the way through that tour. Really didn't have a whole lot up there go on. This one lady was our fitness instructor to help us with our physical fitness.
Yeah.
She was a cancer survivor, and she was big on fitness, so she was doing like jump squats and sprints at the same time. And I don't know if you remember me coming in crutches and playing pool.
I do remember that.
I had injured my left leg. I think it was my left leg. And I would jump, start running, and next thing I know, here I am with a lot of issues with my legs. I said I didn't have fluid in my knees from the constant impact.
That's no good. I bet that's me down
That's
there.
probably, yeah.
I don't know where you went.
I went on that side of those trees over there.
Oh, okay.
I think I spurted out right in there somewhere. Oh, yeah. Mine ain't as bad as your tree shot.
Oh, no fluid on the knees.
Yeah.
I do remember though. I do remember you crutches. Maybe out of Secrets.
Q Masters.
Two Masters.
And long shots.
Yeah, but I thought for some reason I thought you played Travel 8 too.
Nope.
No,
I never played Travel
8. Cause I played Travel 8 out of Ike's and Secrets, and I forget that one down on Johnston Road and
Sharks. What used to be Winners?
Yeah, Winners. They're good. You won't.
I was looking to see where the pin was.
Oh yeah, it's kind of hard to see.
What's that?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah, I'm looking through this pine tree out of like, what am I doing here?
You're in the fairway.
Yep. At least I'm not in the trash anymore. So yeah, up there I had my migraines and my knee issues. It was a pretty good tour. I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of real big things. I had a couple friends pass away just about anywhere I was at, but they weren't related to military except for up there.
Yeah.
I had one guy that drank a lot of energy drinks and ended up having some issues. He had heart failure and ended up passing away on a basketball court. But for me, I didn't have. Oh, that took a bad bounce left in the middle. You're in the middle of the fairway though. Yeah. But overall, for the remainder of that, it wasn't real bad up there. And I spent 3 years up there, and that took me all the way to 2013 time frame. And then I went to USS Montpelier. So really wasn't too much more that I could do with that. So I just told them, I was like, look, I got migraines. This is what it makes me feel like, and everything. And they were like, well, we need to go see the undersea medical officer. So I went and seen the undersea medical officer, and he was like, well, Leos Gruber, I want you to take this medication and then come back and see me when it's gone. This migraine lasted me 4.5 days. I had just had my son. I wasn't able to hold my son. I wasn't able to take care of my son. I had to stay in a dark room. Any noise at all bothered me. I didn't spend any time with my wife. I didn't do anything like that. And this is my second wife. I got divorced before I had my son. And that was partially due to being able to see and things like that. But so I had my migraine. 4.5 days later, I contacted the undersea medical officer. And I said, hey, my migraine's gone now. He said, all right, I need you to come back in. And this time I was up there, and he's like, well, I need you to sign this piece of paper for me. And I said, what's this? He's like, you're no longer allowed to stay on submarines due to the medication you took. And with your migraines being as bad as they are, we're taking you off. So now you have to pick a new rate. I said, okay. New rate, let's see. What are my options? So I had to submit waivers to become an aviation electrician, which is what I was going to become in the first place. So, did that. Became an aviation electrician. And then I went to there. I stayed there in Norfolk at the little place there for a little while, and he said, you're going to go to Florida for school. Ended up going to Pensacola, Florida. Stayed down there from July of until October, November time frame.
Oh, wow.
My son would have been just about a year old when I got there.
I have to ask. He said, would it be?
Oh, he's still around, but I'm just trying to figure out in my head where I'm at time frame wise.
Okay.
So he was about 1 at that time. I come home, and this is my second wife. End up splitting with her. Things that we didn't agree on, and so military life, you meet a lot of different people. People become your friends, and then over time it just melts away. You either move away or whatnot. I knew I was only down there for a little bit. It wasn't that big of a deal for me. I was just meeting people, having fun, doing what I want to do. We got back and went through a divorce, and came back here from Pensacola, Florida. While I was down there, I went through A school and C schools. Got down there. So I left here in July. It was right after we got married. I didn't start school until like August, middle of August or something like that. So I was down there a little early. They put me up in this hotel out in town, and the lady walked in. She said, "I'm getting away from my husband, and I need a place to stay. I don't have no money." So I can't help you. She's trying to talk to me and trying to help her. I said, "I can't help you." I said, "I don't even have enough money for my hotel room. I'm down here on business, and my business is paying for it, which military paid for my hotel room." So I'm standing there, and this lady starts talking to the front desk clerk, telling her whole story and why she's leaving her husband and her kids and blah blah blah. And I'm not thinking nothing of it. I'm like, okay, yeah, like she's having a hard time. She needs a place to stay, whatnot. They told her she needed a credit card. And she went and said, "I'll get you a credit card. I'll come back and take care of it." I'm standing in the atrium of the entrance, and I'm watching the lady, and she walks right past all the cars and doesn't stop, walks right in the middle of traffic. And this Dodge pickup truck hit her. Gone. I was the first one on the scene, went out there to go check on everybody. Couldn't even tell who she was. She didn't look like the same person again. So, trying to render first aid, I already knew she was gone, but there wasn't anything to do at that point, Just one of those freak moments. School, my C school's down there, and we go to pick orders, and I'm like, well, my son's back in Virginia. My sister's there living with my wife. We're not doing too well. I don't know how things are going to go. So in order to stay near my son, I'll go back to Norfolk. Pick orders. So I'll go to HSC 26.
And what is that?
That's a helicopter squadron.
Okay.
HSC 26, it's HS 60 helicopters. I go back here, and I went to a C school here for wire repair, and then jumped out of that, went into HSC 26, and they were like, "Hey, you're going to go to Line Shack." I was like, "Okay." And they were like, wait, we want you to go to Tool. So I sent us to Tool. They sent me to Tool room, and staying there for a little while. Did Tool room for about a year and a half, I think it was. Met some really good, nice people in there, learned a lot. The big thing about that was I was coming from a aviation or from submarines to aviation, submarines doesn't have what they call tool control.
Right.
They don't care where tools are at as long as they ain't in the tanks and voids making noise. They can go in the trash for all they care. But then you got aircraft that are going in the air. They want to see every single tool, every piece of every tool, and track it down to the bare minimum. If you scrape a screwdriver and the tip comes off, you better be able to tell them where it's at. Otherwise, they have to ground an aircraft until it's found. So it becomes a big issue when you start losing tools there in the aircraft community. So I had a lot to learn there on that side of it. Sent me to Line Shack after that. I got my qualification as PC, which is plane captain. Line Shack is like all the people that do all the pre-flight inspections and post-flight inspections. You're launching an aircraft and receiving an aircraft, giving them hand signals and telling them when it's good to go, things like that. So I did that for a little bit. I got my qualification in there. And then it was time for me to go back to the avionics shop, which was where all my avionics people, you got the AEs and ATs and stuff in the avionics shop. And started working actually on what my job title was.
Okay.
So I did that for a little while, got through the major inspections, and then a spot came open for safety. And I was able to go up into safety and worked in safety from, I guess at this time it was 2017-ish. So I spent like 3 years in safety. During the time on Line Shack, you're carrying the big heavy toolboxes. They arrange anywhere from 70 to 150 pounds. You're rolling them across the flight line with a dolly or whatever. When your equipment doesn't work, like the tow tractors that carry the light carts and things like that, we end up having to push all that stuff when it doesn't work properly. So there's sometimes you end up doing that, which takes a real big toll on your body.
I can imagine.
So I think it was 2018, 2019 time frame. After me and my wife had gotten married, we had my daughter, my last daughter. So at this point, we have 7 children between the two of us. I think my daughter was about 2 or 3 months old, so that would have put us right around July, August time frame, I think. Woke up one morning and I couldn't move my neck. And I was like, babe, I think I'm paralyzed. She's like, what? I said, I think I need to go to the emergency room. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, I can't move. Like my neck, my arms, like they feel like jello. So I went to the doctor. Ended up finding out I have 6 herniated discs with nerve impingements in my neck. After a long time, they thought it was just a pulled muscle. They're like, oh yeah, you got a pulled muscle. Here's some muscle relaxers. Here's this. Here's that.
That's the military.
Here's some military way. Here's some Motrin and water.
Motrin and water.
Take you a shower for your athlete's feet and rub some of this on or whatever. So they gave me all kinds of medications. At one time, going through all this, I went to Doc at my squadron. I was like, look, I say it's really hurting. This isn't a pulled muscle. It's a lot worse than that. I know it is. Something needs to be done for it. So he gave me Valium, naproxen, 2 different muscle relaxers, hydrocodone, and methocarbamol, and then gabapentin. Well, gabapentin made my migraines worse, and I couldn't take it. And I was like, you got me on 3,600 milligrams of gabapentin. You're asking me to take, 4 800 milligram ibuprofen, or 4 800 milligram gabapentins a day. 2 in the morning, 2 at night, and then alternate all this medication. So I called into work and I was like, I can't come in. I feel like I'm drunk. They're like, what do you mean? I was like, all this medication I'm on, I can't come into work. I can't drive. I'm a danger to myself and everybody else on the flight line because I'm cooped up on all this medication.
Damn.
So I'm too doped up. I can't do this. So the next thing I know, they're like, well, you need to come into work or you're going to get in trouble. And I was like, what do you mean? How am I supposed to get to work? They're like, have somebody drive you in. So I had my wife driving me back and forth to work at 6 o'clock in the morning for like a month. And I was like, this medication that I'm on is too much. I can't do it. I was just sitting in the shop sleeping. I was like, it's no good. So I went up to Doc and talked to Doc, and Doc's like, you have a standing chit that says if you cannot drive, you are not to come into work. And I was SIQ for days upon days upon days, just trying to take medication to get out of pain.
I'm assuming that's sick importance?
Yeah, sick quarters, SIQ. So during that time, like, I'm not even coherent enough to take care of my daughter. I can't pick my daughter up. I can't help my wife with her. They told me no physical exercise, couldn't PT, couldn't do PRTs, the physical readiness test that Navy requires. They were like, no, you can't do any of that. So from that time on, like, I was just going to the doctors trying to figure out what's going on. They did x-rays. They did all these tests. Come to find out, I got C6, C7, T1, T2 vertebrae in my neck that are herniated and pressing on the nerves that go down the outside of my arm on both sides, depending on which way I turn my neck or move my neck. Sometimes it makes one worse than the other. I get nerve pain going down my arms, my fingers, and always feel like they're numb or painful. Not able to make a fist as tight as you used to be. I was losing grip and sensations in my hands, dropping my coffee cups, things like that. And I'm like, hey, like, there's got to be something we can do.
You can't tell right there, but see, I'm wasting, but that's what they call it.
Or it's dipping in. That's where your muscle starts going away here.
Yep.
So, over time, like, I was just like, what am I going to do about this? So, like, surgery, I was like, whoa, stop. I was like, I'd much rather deal with pain than have to go to somebody to operate on my back. Now, mind you, I am 41 years old right now, and I have never had a surgery more than pulling my wisdom teeth. So when they're like, you're going to go get surgery, I'm like, well, wait a minute, stop, chill out, relax. But I know my brother has had back surgeries from where he's had motorcycle accidents and things like that. And he says it was the worst pain he'd ever been in, and it didn't fix the issue. I've got another friend of mine that's a vet. He's had back surgery after back surgery. You know him, he played pool with Toby.
Really?
McGovern.
Okay.
He's had, I think, 16 surgery on his back now. He has everything in his back is pretty much fused together. Can barely even bend over at all. So I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'd rather live with the pain than to be on the pain medication. I went to pain management, a couple doctors. They're like, okay, so what's going on? And I told him. He's like, there's nothing we can do for you. He's done all kinds of tests. He's like, oh, I want to do a nerve ablation. I was like, what's that? He's like, well, we're going to burn the nerves in your back to make the pain go away. He's like, but I have to do a couple tests to make sure you're a candidate for it. I started talking to people about it. They're like, yeah, it hurts, but it goes away after time, and then 6 or 8 months later, the pain's going to come back, and you have to deal with it again. You have to go back and get it done. It's a process you just repeat over and over because your nerves generate right back anyway.
Right.
So I was like, okay, well, that sounds better than getting surgery because it's not as invasive. So I'll try it. And he goes, you're not a candidate. I said, what do you mean? And over the course of the time, you know, I've already had injections into my spine, cortisone shots, saline shots, and things like that to try to numb them and stuff like that. So it numbed my back, nerves in my arms and stuff. Just going back through where my spine is, to the point where they were like, that should have numbed it for X amount of days. I got 4 hours of relief.
Damn.
And he's like, you're not a candidate. And the pain specialist I was going to told me, when you get out of the military, come back and see me, I'll give you your green card so you can smoke marijuana and go. Literally, that's what he told me. And I was like, well, that's not good either. Like, I mean, I guess it'd get me out of pain, but I don't want to be smoking drugs to get out of pain.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on pain pills to be out of pain.
It seems like that's pain management in the military. That's what that is.
Yeah, pain management in the military.
That is, let me throw some shit at it.
Yep.
Throw it on the wall, see what sticks.
I don't know whose mine's up there.
Okay. Oh, they're catching up to us. Here, pick it up. We'll go to the next hole.
All right.
want to stay in front of the who's check so they don't pressure us. Actually, continue the conversation.
You know, at this point, it's a mind over matter thing. There's good days, there's bad days. Storms really take a toll on me. There's a major storm that comes in, pretty much count me out for doing pretty much anything. And then we got my kids want to go do things. I'm like, no, Dad, I can't do that. Some things aren't really what they should be for life, you know. So I spent my rest of my time at HSC 26 in safety. Never really did anything too much after that. Once I got done there, and I got done with going through pain management, which put me into FRC right here in Norfolk, the Fleet Readiness Center, Mid-Atlantic. I still didn't do any major things. I still wasn't doing physical exercise. Still wasn't doing PRTs or anything like that. Pretty much put me in one of those states where my body just wasn't able to keep up with what I was eating or drinking or anything like that. Started gaining some weight, which didn't hurt any, but I didn't want to get into that spot where I was gaining too much weight.
Yeah.
I had never been upwards of 190 pounds the whole time I was in the military. I got to 195 and I was like, what's going on here? So I gotta find something that I can do. So pretty much walking is about the only thing doctors said I could do. They told me not to go to chiropractors, not to get anything major done to me. That could potentially paralyze me because of my bulge discs or my herniated discs. It's pretty much the top half of my back is, for the lack of better terms.
I'm right there with you. I've had so many doctors, especially at the VA, and especially they want to fuse my L4, L5, S1, and they want to do a laminectomy. It's where they shave some of my spine down so the nerves, I guess, don't hit.
Not hitting it yet.
And I don't put a lot of faith into it. I go get second opinions. I went out and talked to a neurosurgeon, and his take is, as long as I can get around and do the things that I want to do, to keep on doing that until you can't do that anymore, and then have surgery. He says if I have surgery now, 5 years out. It's like that, start that chain reaction. So. But I'm there with you, at least on the back. I got 4 bulging discs. I've got spinal
Narrow spine. Yep, got that.
I guess it's all wrapped into degenerative disc disease.
Yep, that's what they call it.
Yeah, and I got arthritis in my hips.
I got osteoporosis all through my back. It's a mess. So I really didn't know what to expect out of everything, actually, to be honest with you, because I was like, okay, I've done military this long, now I'm getting ready to retire at this point, after 20 years, it shouldn't be hard to go through the VA, right? You would think.
Let's be off, and then we're going to talk about it. All right, so what date did you retire?
So I actually retired October 31st of last year.
Okay.
Going through my whole process, I was like, hey, I'm trying to do my BDD claim. I got this and that. They were like, well, where are your medical records? And I was like, what do you mean where are my medical records? They should be here at some point. Couldn't find my medical records anywhere. My medical records were lost. Which my medical records, remember, they start in 2004.
Right.
So these medical records would be all paper records at that point. They didn't have all the records that I needed for all of my stuff. There's a ball there.
Yeah, that's me.
Is that you?
Yeah.
They wouldn't have all my medical records that I had when I first came in, and all that stuff. So I was kind of.
I thought they went through and digitized.
Supposedly.
I got a feeling this is where this is
So,
going.
with that being said, they didn't have like the ones for my migraines and all that stuff weren't in there. And those are major ones when you start to think about the migraines, because they took me off of submarines because of migraines and made me go to a different rate. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, well, I need to have those medical records, whatever they may be. I think this is me right here.
Yeah.
Yep. As long as it says noodle on it, which it does. So it kind of put me in one of those precarious positions, knowing that at this point I don't have those medical records that I need to have. So at that point I'm like, okay, if I don't have the medical records that I need to have, then how much am I actually going to get from my VA? So
I didn't see that come down.
it looks like it's late to the right. Pretty much put me in that position where I was like, okay, I need to have my medical records in order to get everything I need to be done. So I did my letter of intent prior to my retirement.
Okay.
I did a skill bridge, which put me in the job that I'm in now, thank God, because retirement pay is not enough to do anything on.
And for those that are non-military, letter of intent is what you file prior to filing your claim.
Correct.
Just telling the VA, hey, I'm gathering my evidence. It's on its way.
Right. Which my letter of intent, I think, went in like September, I think it was.
Yeah.
Which made it a little bit better, because then they know that I'm doing it. So October 31st rolls around, that's when I would start getting paid for my disability. So over time, it kind of put me in that position to where I kind of knew what was going to be happening. Cart pathing?
Rounder. Round ball.
So when my letter of intent went in, that I was like, okay, once I get out, I went and talked to somebody at the DAB. And I talked to him November 1st, and that got me to where my paperwork was signed and then I could submit it. I think that might be it over there.
I think that's you. Get through there.
Man, I really love these trees today. So went and seen the guy with the DAV and finally got all my claim stuff put together. And I claimed everything I knew I could claim, you know. And then they were like, "Oh, along the way, where is your PTSD So I just kind of told him, I was like, look, I've already been through this. I already got PTSD and insomnia done at Souls Point. And they were like, well, we need the paperwork for it. I don't know where the paperwork's at. So I need to figure that out. Right over here.
Oh shit! I think this might be you. No, that's not me. I'm on the left side over there. What kind of ball? Chemical? Free ball.
Yep. So we get all that stuff started, and they tell me that they need the paperwork for my PTSD. Well, my PTSD was done at Souls Point, so I was like, well, if that's done at Souls Point, that should be easy to get, but the doctor that I had isn't there anymore. That doctor's moved on. So I don't have him to sign the paperwork that the VA wants signed because he's no longer there. So now I have to wait instead of submitting for PTSD. I have to go to the VA's doctors to get the PTSD claim submitted.
Game's falling apart. All right, so you actually got to file for everything but PTSD.
Well, I filed for it, but they don't have the documentations to back up my claim.
Okay.
So now I have to go through the VA's doctors to get all that stuff through. If that makes any sense.
Yes.
It's right there.
Okay. So.
What? I think you're way over there, so you can probably roll through all the trees. If you hit that one down, it's good. Oh, look at that. Oh, I thought it hit the top of it right where you just died.
So your initial claim, when was that filed?
November 1st of 2023.
Okay.
Now, you send your claim in November 1st. Right? That's when my date is when I signed it and sent it off.
Right.
They didn't receive it until January of 2025.
That. Yeah.
By the time it gets up there and goes through all their rigmarole that they have up there, and somebody actually gets it in their hands and starts the process, now it's January of 2025. So, between January and 2025 and now, that's a good shot.
That's gonna play. Boom.
Stay on.
Stay on.
Off the back fringe.
You're all right though.
Yeah. So now here we are. July of this year.
And you hadn't heard anything?
I had small communications throughout the time, but it was, give me your paperwork for this, give me your paperwork for that, give me your paperwork for this, give me the paperwork for that, right? It was never a definite of anything happening other than they still needed paperwork. So I was given a letter that they needed my therapist stuff, they needed my back stuff, they needed all the paperwork for the claim that I had submitted. So I got together a bunch of paperwork that I had, and then they sent off paperwork to each doctor asking for it. So when you sit back and you think about it, the VA is a medical provider, right?
Yeah.
So when you have a medical provider asking a medical provider for documentation, there should be no charge because it's medical to medical. They should just send the papers. So I had a therapist at a therapy center in Virginia Beach that said, we want $150 in order to submit your records to the VA. And I said, what? I have $150 to get you. I'm trying to get my benefits. I don't have this extra money. I got 7 kids, a wife, and myself to support. I'm doing that right now, and I'm trying to get my disability. Can you please help me? Well, I need to make sure that we're going to get this $150. I said, well, I'll give you $150 after you submit the paperwork, and when I get paid, I'll pay it, whatever I need to do. So I go back and talk to my wife, who is an MA, and she goes, you ain't paying them $150 for your medical records. That's a medical establishment to a medical establishment. They are supposed to provide that for free. There is a law against that. So then I'm fighting with this therapy center to get all that done. Finally, they say that they finally have received all the documents that they requested. I was like, okay, cool. So after all that's been done, then they tell me that they need me to go see the doctors that they want me to see. So I went and seen
Like a CMP exam.
it's not even a CMP exam. This is like individual doctors.
Okay.
So I went and seen the audiologist because I claimed hearing impairment from being on submarines around the diesel generator, which is a huge diesel, and then around helicopters and airplanes and stuff on the airfield. I've lost a significant amount of hearing. A lot of it that you're talking, I'm still reading your lips as you're talking to me. So it's one of those things where I have to wait my time to see the doctors at this point. So it's okay, cool. So then they say, well, we're going to send you for your mental health evaluation. This was August 15th. Just passed.
Okay.
They're like, you can do in person or you can do video call. I was like, I'll do a video call. I don't got to go anywhere. I can be at home in the comfort of my home and do it that way. Get on the phone call with him, and the guy's like, you're pixelated. Can you hear me? I was like, yeah, I can hear you. He's like, I can barely hear you. You're really choppy. Is there any other device you can use? So I can try to use my phone where I can be closer to my router at my house. He's like, yeah, that sounds good. So I jump off. I try to get on through my phone. He still can't hear me there. So mind you, this whole time I'm thinking to myself, my wife uses the same computer for all her video appointments. She never has a problem. Why is it? But I couldn't see the doctor that was trying to talk to me. So he's like, I'm not going to be able to do this with you today. We're going to have to reschedule. So OneServe calls me, and they're like, hey, we got another appointment for you August 27th. Cool. Quicker than I thought I was going to get it. Sounds great. I get the paperwork in the mail on August 20th saying that I've got an appointment August 27th. Got it in my FedEx letter. I'm like, cool, got it. Next thing I know, they're like, oh, calling me that they're canceling my appointment due to a conflict. So now my appointment that was August 15th, now was August 27th, has now been canceled again, and I called to get another appointment, and it's not till September 10th. So now it puts me back a whole nother month before I even start seeing the VA doctors. Like, these are all out-in-town doctors that they're having me go see.
Have you gotten a denial letter?
I've not gotten a denial letter yet. But we're working on a year that I have not been getting any.
And I wish it wasn't.
Any paperback.
I wish it wasn't so. But this is like standard operating procedure. And
That's what I hear from everybody.
It's sad. I've talked to so many veterans about this. I was at Kempsville Greens. We were talking about that golf course earlier. I was at Kempsville Greens, and I was on the range. Every other Friday, I play there with a men's group at our church, and he's I'm on the range, and one of the range guys, the greenskeepers or whatever, right? He's taking care of the golf course, and he's talking to this old guy that's talking about the VA, and I just, I hear them, and I start chiming in. And he's like, "Oh, let me tell you what happened." And I was like, "Oh boy, here we go." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going through that process. They set me up with a doctor's appointment. They said, we're going to send you a letter. You'll give date, time, all these things." And he's like, "All right, cool. Send it to me. I'll go to the doctor's appointment." He got the FedEx letter from the VA. And the appointment was the day before he got the letter got to him after the appointment.
Yeah, after the appointment.
Yeah, and I was like, man, that sounds all too
familiar.
Yeah.
You know,
beach appointment that now has been canceled. And now I have to drive to Hampton to a doctor out there.
At the VA?
No, this is out in town. And I still have no real clue on what's going on with anything else. You know, you got all the doctor's appointments that I went to at.
Are you okay with skipping a few holes? So
if you want to
wrap it up. Not that I don't want to.
No, you're fine.
Told my wife I'll be about 6.
No, I don't even know what time it is.
6:30. 6:30. That gives them more time to talk.
Yeah. So then you get, you know, all the ones that I went through. You would think that the military doctors, my back stuff, all that stuff, should be something quick and easy that they should just be like, yep.
You would think
that's what it is because they came from Portsmouth Naval Medical Center or whatnot. Then you have all the other stuff. None of my stuff has been outside the network. Everything has been in the TRICARE network. So what is the issue with getting all the documents in within a timely manner is my question. I don't know what that is. But to actually have them say, oh no, we need more documentation, we need this, we need that. When you send us to the doctors in our military network, we're supposed to take their word, but the VA doesn't have to?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is what's wrong with you. The VA goes, oh, no, that's not what's wrong with you. This is what's wrong with you. But you don't have that issue. And that's what I'm feeling that is coming down the path is that's not what's really wrong with you. This is what it is.
It's unfortunate, but I think you're correct.
I mean, I've got all my documentation from all my back stuff. I've got all of the letters and the CDs and all that stuff for doctors that looked at it. I've got every diagnosis that they've ever given me, and I've kept all that because I knew that was going to be a major part of it. My back, my arms, my hands going numb, my migraines, all of that stuff. I have all that documentation with paper proof to where they can't say, well, that's not in your medical record. I can be like, well, here's the documentation from these doctors. So figure it out. And in the meantime, I have 7 children, me and my wife, that are living on what I'm making now, which is barely what the military was, including my retirement. So it's like, okay, for a year you've made me suffer through barely skimming by. What am I going to find out?
I hope that it's not the way you said.
But then you have these people that stay in the military for 4 years, they claim PTSD and they get kicked out of the military on medical, 100% disability, medical retirement, and they're making more money than I am as a 20-year first class. And it's like...
Unfortunately, some people know how to game the system. Because let's face it, VA it's very, I'm trying to think of the term, more of, the doctor at the VA does not come to his own conclusion. The doctor at the VA takes what you tell him and the evidence, and it's almost like he looks at this chart. He's like, oh, okay, he said this, and this says this, and it's like almost like a mileage chart, right? You're like, okay, that's what it is, and that's what it seems like.
300 out here means 150 in the middle.
Yeah, and you gotta love that VA math too.
Yeah, the way they.
I got a buddy of mine. I mean, you know, he's been fighting the VA for years. Like I said, I fought for 10. It took me 10 years to complete the process and actually get them to, you know, compensate for all the things that legitimately are wrong with me.
Right.
And he's like, he called me up one day. He said, "Hey, I got this letter, and they rated me at 90%." I was like, "Well, hey, that's better than, you know, I guess what it could have been." He goes, but literally on the letter, it's like, they gave me 30% for this, 20% for this. And he starts naming all these things off. I'm like, man, that shit adds up to like 170%. He goes, yeah, tell me how it's 90. I don't know. And their system is so flawed. And what I've come to find out is every administration, regardless of viewpoints and politics and all that shit, they think just throwing large chunks of money at the VA is what you fix it. And it's not.
No.
Because there is so much.
You have to get rid of the corrupt the mindset that is there.
Yes.
The people that are like, oh, well, we're just going to give you this because that'll keep you from coming back. Or we're going to give you this instead of this because it wasn't determined to be service connected. Okay, so that's the big thing for me. Like, they're like, oh, it's not service connected. So what is service connected? Am I in the military when it happened to me? That makes it service connected to me.
Yeah.
Right? So I was diagnosed with insomnia, PTSD, anxiety, sleep apnea, cervical spine and thoracic spine issues, nerve pain. Went through all of the tests for all of this stuff, all within a 20-year period while I was in the military. And then they're like, well, that's not service connected. That's not service. How is it not service connected? Wasn't I in the military during that time? Anything that happens to you while you're in the military is covered by TRICARE and should be then put into your service claim for your retirement and your disability. And everybody's like, oh, that's not service connected because you had this and that, and this was prior to this, and that connects to this. I'm like, okay. And then all the changes they make throughout the time, they're like, well, sleep apnea used to be 50%, but because you can have underlying issues that may cause that, now you're only getting 30%. Or because it's connected to this, we're not going to give you the full amount, we're going to give you half for both. And now instead of getting 80%, now you're getting 50%. And it's like, how does that math add up?
It doesn't.
And I know that some of that stuff's going to come down the pipe, that they're going to try to do something like that. But the funny thing is, like, the migraines was way before anything. The neck pain and all the other ailments that had come with my back, all of those are just stacking on top of each other. And the doctor told me, he's like, because you've got this issue with your back, the next disc is going to do this, and the next disc is going to do that, and the next disc is going to do it. And I was like, so basically you're telling me my spine's going to deteriorate. And he's like, yes. Because you have bulging and herniated discs with nerve impingements, when it starts secreting, it's going to cause the rest of your back to go out. I was like, so at 70, I'm barely going to be able to walk. That sounds great.
Yeah.
But it's not
But
service.
it's not service connected. I'll tell you, what I think is, like I was saying, they keep throwing money at it, and it's, for example, like, I think the project to digitize and make systems at the VA talk to other systems has been going on for decades.
Yep.
So, there's a program called MHS Genesis.
Yep.
Right? And that is like supposed to tie the VA and outside providers and TRICARE and like wrap it all in.
Which is now what the Navy is using for all of their healthcare stuff. I think it was like 4 years ago they rolled that out. The MHS Genesis was starting to come out, and they had TRICARE Online portal was where the Navy did all their medical stuff. And then they were like, oh, by the way, you have until this date to get all of your stuff printed out, or you lose all that information. And I was like, wait, what? If I didn't print it out then, I'm not going to be able to? They were like, you're taking a chance on whether everything goes over to MHS Genesis or not. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm taking a chance. Why don't you back it all up for everyone to make sure that all of their stuff rolls over, and don't let anybody lose any of their medical stuff. Because now I can say I had this issue, and you're like, oh no, we don't have record of it.
Now, before MHS Genesis, there was 3 or 4 other programs
Yep.
where they were trying to make because the VA physically people were printing out documents and scanning them into another system, very rudimentary shit. And for a long time, that was the VA's. Oh, that's why we have a backlog. We got 250,000 service members trying to, claim their benefits, but we can only scan so fast.
Right.
And I swear that was 15, 20 years ago, and it was still happening. And apparently it is still happening. But I swear they probably spent hundreds of billions of dollars on the VA, and it's still broken.
It just takes so long to get anything out of them. For me to be waiting a year when I gave you all of my documentation at May, June time frame, and you don't have anything, you haven't even had me into the VA for anything. You've just been sending me out in town to one doctor, and I can't get to my second doctor's appointment. When does it become okay, we're gonna go ahead and take care of you, and we're gonna get you into the VA, and you actually have a VA doctor see you and see everything that's going on? And I feel sorry for some of the doctors that are out in town that are getting slammed with everybody because they're oh, well, you're gonna go see this doctor. Well, this doctor's booked up, so we're gonna send you to this doctor, and we're gonna send you. And I'm okay, when does that stop? And you just start having your doctors look at everybody. Hey, you retired on this date. Within 30 days, you have a doctor's appointment. Sounds good to me, right? But they're oh, we don't have the doctors to do it, or whatever. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they don't have enough people to cover it. Stop using the out-in-town doctors and actually have everybody go to the VA to get everything done.
I don't know where you are.
On the retro.
Okay. I feel like we need a part 2,
Right?
You'd be my first part 2.
Yeah.
I think. I hope it all works out for you. Now, if you find yourself with a denial letter, I know that I used. I tried to use the VA. I wound up using outside paid for it, unfortunately. They allowed me to have them paid out of my back pay filing, but they only take claims that they don't do initial claims. They only do the rebuttal or appeals. Okay. And they did right by me. So, but it's unfortunate that the service members and retirees have to go through this. I've had conversations with friends of mine that served overseas, with me in some cases. They're have you ever tried to call the VA suicide hotline?
It's like calling 911 and being you're on hold.
That is scary. that is really scary.
Very much so.
I will say that when President Trump's first term, he built a White House hotline, and that actually works. I actually used it. The same day, somebody's calling me back. They're 3-way calling me in with a VA person. It was Johnny on the spot. It still took a whole lot of fighting to make it happen, but it seemed like there was more care there. Again, not introducing politics. This is not about left or right or whatever, but I hope it's a speedy process for you. When you get your response, well, let's do this again. Let's do a part 2. I think there's more that needs to be talked about. So
I agree.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
I appreciate you inviting me.